Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a really big one from the anime world.
A real clash of titans.
Exactly. We've got Meruem, the Ant King from Hunter x Hunter, going up against Father from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, this is a fantastic matchup. I mean, both are pretty much the final bosses of their stories, right? But they get their power in totally different ways.
For sure. And we've really dug into this one, looked at YouTube analyses, Reddit threads, our Hunter x Hunter, our Full Metal Alchemist, the classic Rue would win.
Oh yeah, those threads get heated. We also checked out some CBR articles, V's debate forums, lots of different takes.
Right. And the goal here, for you listening, is basically to cut through all that noise. You want the key info, the solid takeaways, without getting bogged down.
We're focusing on Meruem's strengths, how they might realistically stack up against someone like Father, trying to avoid the endless what-ifs.
Okay, let's jump in. Meruem, what made him such a beast right from the get-go, even before, the whole Rose incident?
Well, straight away, even as a newborn king, his raw power was just immense. The sources all agree on that. We're talking incredible speed, strength, durability.
Speed like, how fast?
Easily faster than sound. He could react to Netero's attacks, and those were supersonic. Some analyses post-Rose even describe his speed as almost instantaneous.
Wow. Okay, near instantaneous. So he could basically just appear next to someone. And strength.
Yeah, pretty much. Strength-wise, he could casually rip off heads, toss bodies around like nothing. Durability, too. He took thousands of Netero's hits. Super high-speed hits.
And survived the Rose Bomb explosion, right? That miniature nuke.
Exactly. A 1.2 megaton blast, basically point blank, and lived. Then, after absorbing Yuppie and Poof's aura, well, all the stats just skyrocketed.
Okay, so physically, he's off the charts. What about his nen? He wasn't born with a specific hot suit, like a special move, was he?
No, not initially. He had a massive amount of aura, like naturally, and an instinctive understanding of nen basics and even advanced stuff. He beat Netero purely on raw power and strategy, not some fancy technique.
But then came the post-Rose upgrade. That's when he absorbed his guards.
That's the key moment. His rebirth let him essentially integrate their nen abilities into his own being.
And that's where he got some seriously powerful tools. What did he pick up?
Okay, so from Yuppie, he got Rage Blast. That's a huge, devastating energy shot.
Like a nuke beam.
Sorta, yeah.
Yeah.
Concentrated aura. He also got Flight, probably Metamorphosis too, likely a mix from Yuppie and Poof.
Flight adds a whole new dimension. And from Poof, that was the sensory stuff.
Yes, Photonic N, or spiritual message, some call it. It massively boosted his senses. He could sense lies, read surface thoughts, basically get a perfect picture of everything around him. Think of it like super radar plus mind reading.
Okay, let me recap. Insane speed, potentially teleportation level, nuke level durability, a powerful energy blast, flight, shape-shifting, and near perfect awareness of his surroundings and opponents' thoughts.
That's a pretty good summary, yeah.
That's terrifying. But it wasn't just brute force, right? His intelligence was a big deal too.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Genius intellect, photographic memory. He learned and adapted incredibly quickly. He figured out Netero's attack patterns mid-fight, patterns Netero had spent decades perfecting.
And absorbing Poof probably boosted that too, since Poof was the strategist.
Likely, yeah. Enhanced his already formidable strategic mind. And it's worth remembering, the Hunter x Hunter idea that nen fights aren't always predictable. There's chance involved, how abilities interact.
Right, matchups matter.
But Meruem's potential, his raw nen capacity, was just consistently shown as being on another level entirely.
Gotcha. There's also that fan debate, him versus adult Gon. What did the sources say about that?
Yeah, that comes up a lot. One YouTube analysis pointed out a common misunderstanding, maybe from the anime version, Patu's line about Gon's power.
Yeah, implying he was as strong as the king.
In the anime, maybe. But source clarifies, in the manga, Patu just recognized Gon could potentially harm the king. A major threat, yes, but not necessarily an equal match.
Yeah.
So the general feeling across what we looked at is that even adult Gon would probably lose to post-Rose Meruem. The power jump was just that massive.
Okay, that paints a very clear, very scary picture of Meruem. Let's switch gears. Father, from Full Metal Alchemist. After he absorbs God, what's his deal?
Right, Father's power-up. By absorbing the entity known as God, or maybe the truth, he gains this immense power. Control over the fundamental laws of the world, supposedly.
That's cool.
Like some sources, Reddit, Comic Find, mention him creating a miniature sun inside his body. That gives you an idea of the scale.
A mini sun. Okay, that's That's huge power.
Yeah.
But you said supposedly. Was there a catch?
Yes, a big one.
Yeah.
Instability. The analysis from Evolution's Apex really hammered this point. It's like he had limitless power, theoretically, but he couldn't really control it properly.
Like trying to hold water in a sieve.
Kind of, yeah.
Right.
He lacked the experience, maybe the fundamental understanding to wield that god-level power effectively. And crucially, his power might not have been infinite in practice. Using big abilities seemed to drain him, making him unstable.
Interesting. And there was that point about him not being able to create real life, despite being godlike.
Exactly. A Reddit thread mentioned that. It suggests a fundamental limit to his power. His control over reality wasn't absolute. He couldn't replicate the true act of creation.
And his power system, alchemy, is totally different from Nen. How does that work again?
Completely different. Alchemy is about understanding matter, its composition, how to break it down and reshape it using transmutation circles.
And the energy comes from?
It channels energy from the Earth's tectonic plates. That's the standard source. Though Father had his own setup, using philosopher's stones derived from souls across Amestris to power his own alchemy and fuel his plan.
So it's knowledge-based, manipulating matter, using external energy via specific formulas. Nen is internal life energy. Very different philosophies.
Phenomenally different, yeah. And that difference is key when you imagine them fighting.
Okay, let's get to the showdowns. Hypothetical fights, round 1. Meruem before the Rose Bomb versus Father. What's the verdict there?
This one's a bit tricky. The Roa would-win discussions suggest Meruem's speed is probably too much for Father's initial defenses, like his barrier. He could likely get through. But Father has that weird dwarf in the flask form, the black shadowy thing with all the eyes. It's kind of an unknown. Pre-Rose Meruem, lacking his later abilities, might not have a good way to actually damage that form permanently. So, speed advantage Meruem, but unclear if he can finish the job.
Right, a bit uncertain. Okay, main event. Round 2. Post-Rose Meruem, the super-powered version, versus Father after he's absorbed God. What's the consensus?
Here, the analysis we found points pretty strongly towards Meruem. Overwhelmingly, actually.
Really? Even against Godfather? Why?
Speed? It keeps coming back to speed. Evolution's Apex made a strong case here. Meruem's post-Rose speed is just too much. He can blitz Father, attack relentlessly before Father can effectively react or deploy his biggest powers.
So Father might have planet-level power, but it doesn't matter if he can't land a hit.
Pretty much. Plus, Father's power is unstable, remember? Using those huge abilities seems to weaken him, drain his reserves. Meruem, with his insane durability and likely boosted aura reserves, can probably outlast him.
And Meruem's photonic N? That helps too.
Hugely. He can anticipate Father's moves, read his intentions, combine that near precognition with his speed, and it's incredibly hard for Father to land anything significant, even something like the mini-sun attack. Meruem would likely see it coming, evade, or maybe even tank it.
Could Father use soul manipulation? Alchemy sometimes touches on soul.
That was considered. But the idea is, Meruem's immense Nen aura would likely act as a powerful spiritual defense, shielding his soul. It's a common defense mechanism for powerful Nen users.
Okay, so round 2 seems pretty heavily skewed towards Meruem. What about a team fight? Round 3, Father and the Homunculi versus Meruem and the Royal Guards.
Yeah, the sources like Reddit and CBR generally agree the Royal Guards would handle the Homunculi.
Even Pride or Wrath.
It'd be tough, but Yuppie's raw power, Pitu's versatility, and Dr. Blythe, Poof's strategic mind and fragmentation. They're just on another level compared to most of the homunculi. Yuppie alone is a physical powerhouse that few could match. Pitu and Poof bring crazy Nen abilities to the table. The homunculi regeneration is good, but the guards have overwhelming destructive power and their own resilience.
It sounds like the guards just bring too much Nen firepower and weird abilities.
That seems to be the consensus, yeah.
So, across the board, Meruem and his team seem to have the edge, especially post-Rose. But it's not just about power levels, is it? The sources brought up some interesting nuances.
Definitely. Like the nature of Hunter x Hunter's power system itself. That element of chance or specific ability counters, it means you can't always just rely on who has the bigger aura number. A clever Hatsu could theoretically cause problems, though it's hard to imagine what counters Meruem's whole package.
And the difference between Nen and alchemy. One internal life force, one external matter manipulation. How do you even compare them directly?
It's tough. It raises questions about whether one system could fundamentally interact with or negate the other in unexpected ways. It's mostly speculation, but interesting to think about.
Plus, Meruem's intelligence and adaptability versus Father's. Father had immense power, but did he adapt as quickly as Meruem did in combat?
Probably not. Meruem learned and evolved strategies mid-battle at an incredible rate. Father, in his god form, seemed powerful, but maybe more static, relying on overwhelming force rather than dynamic tactics. That adaptability is a huge plus for Meruem.
There was also that point about Meruem's death being poisoned.
Yeah.
Kind of anticlimactic for some fans.
Yeah, it leaves you wondering what an all-out fight with post-Rose Meruem, no poison involved, would have truly looked like. We never saw his absolute peak in a sustained battle.
And the fan views on Meruem as a potential ruler. That was interesting too. Could he have been a good leader, or was he fundamentally still a monster?
Big debate there. Some see his growing intellect and hints of empathy as potential for good. Others argue his core nature was still predatory and authoritarian. No easy answer.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, if we had to boil it down, what's the main takeaway from comparing Meruem and Father? I think the core conclusion, based on the sources, is that post-Rose Meruem just has too many advantages over God-absorbed Father. His speed is the biggest game changer, combined with his adaptability, sensory abilities from Poof, and raw power.
Father has immense destructive power, but Meruem seems better equipped for an actual fight, better able to apply his power effectively and avoid damage.
Exactly. And, you know, we have to acknowledge this is all theoretical, cross-universe stuff is always speculative.
Of course, but we're basing it on what the source material tells us about their abilities and limitations.
Right, and it makes you think, doesn't it, about how different power systems might clash.
Right.
Or whether smarts and adaptability usually beat raw power in these fictional fights.
Good questions for you, the listener, to ponder. And here's a final thought for you. If Meruem hadn't died from the poison, what would his future have looked like? With his ant biology, insane then, and that developing almost human intelligence, where would he have gone from there? Yeah, what kind of being would he have become? It's a fascinating what if. Definitely encourages you to dig deeper into these worlds. Hunter x Hunter, Full Metal Alchemist, always more to unpack.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.